Today's video is on 5 creepy beach discoveries.
Number 5. Bag of Hands. In March of 2018, a fisherman in Siberia made a gruesome discovery on the icy beach of a river island near the city of Khabarovsk. As he walked along the shore, he noticed a hand sticking out of the snow, and upon further investigation, he found an entire bag full of severed hands, with 54 in total. Everyone's first thoughts upon hearing about this was foul play, but according to Russian authorities, there was a simpler explanation to this. They said that the hands had been disposed of by local forensics labs, but in an unsanctioned way. Apparently, it's not uncommon for Russian facilities to sever the hands of unknown corpses so they can retain the fingerprint information after the rest of the body has been discarded. But clearly, in this case, something went awry. Investigators were able to take prints from one of the hands, but the identity of the rest remains a mystery. Needless to say, a review of local forensics labs was ordered to ensure nothing like this ever happens again. Number 4. Purple Blob. In 2017, a beachcomber in California came across a gross sight, what seemed to be a white, black, and purple blob that was partially decayed. It was about 5 inches across and weighed about 7 pounds. While it was decomposed so much, it's difficult to know for sure what creature it is. But most experts agree that it's the remains of one of 2 species of sea slug. The first, a sea hare, can grow up to 29 inches long, while the other, a side gill, can grow up to about 8 inches. Both species typically live at depths between 10 and 1,200 feet, where they prey on worms, fish, and even their own species, which means that they are cannibals. Neither type of sea slug looks purple like this in the wild, but researchers have an explanation for this too. They are pretty certain that it's likely the creature's gut that has bloated and swollen after its death and protruded through its body. Number 3. Mutilated Sharks. During a 4-day period in May of 2017, researchers found the remains of 3 great white sharks that had washed ashore in the Western Cape province of South Africa. While this itself may not be completely unusual because human activity in the area often kills them, the strange thing was that each of these specimens was missing their liver. But what could hunt and kill the ocean's most feared predator? The answer, the investigators determined, were orca whales. Both species live in large numbers off the coast of the western coast, but incidences of orca on great white attacks were previously undocumented. There is, however, evidence of orca attacks on broad-nosed 7-gill sharks in California, where they target their prey's livers in ferocious attacks that instantly kill the victims. Shark livers are a highly prized food source for several ocean creatures, including sea lions, because of what they contain. Most fish have swim bladders to help their buoyancy in the water, but sharks don't. Instead, they have large livers that are filled with fatty substances along with concentrated, energy-rich nutrients. In an environment where food is scarce, the risk of attacking such dangerous prey is worth the potential payoff. Number 2. Dead Whale. In 2017, residents of Seram Island in Indonesia were stunned to find the remains of a huge creature that had washed up on Holung Beach. At nearly 50 feet long, the first person to see it thought it was a boat. But as he got closer, he realized things weren't as they initially seemed. Rumors went around the island that it was a sea monster, and locals flocked to see it. The red fluid oozing from the corpse further mystified them, but scientists came to the rescue by identifying it as a baleen whale that was in an advanced state of decomposition. The things that made this clear were the grooves and the structure of the upper jaw, where the baleen plates would have been, that allowed the whale to filter out food. The corpse was too decayed to be sure which exact species it was, but it's thought to be either a blue, bride's, or fin whale. Experts think that this one had been dead from anywhere between 2 weeks and several months, but its cause of death was impossible to determine for sure. Normally, when a whale dies, its body sinks to the bottom of the ocean and is quickly eaten. But in some circumstances, particularly when they're hit near the shore by a boat, they begin to inflate and float into the shore. Following a whale's death, their gut bacteria keep reproducing and produce large amounts of gas that inflate the carcass like a balloon. These gases also stink and are potentially noxious, so can be dangerous and unpleasant for people getting too close. The reddish-orange liquid that's thought to be a mixture of blood and oil that has seeped out of the carcass also means that the water surrounding the remains are also potentially dangerous. So if you ever see something similar, it's wise to keep your distance. Number 1. Conjoined Dolphin. In 2014, a Turkish sports teacher was taking a morning run along the beach in the district of Izmir on the country's west coast when something stopped him dead in his tracks. As he approached the strange white lump in the sand ahead of him, he realized that it was the remains of a two-headed dolphin. He noticed that its eyes weren't fully formed, so suspected it had died soon after it was born. He immediately called the police, who arrived to remove the carcass, but it was sent to a local lab for further investigation. Measuring 3.2 feet in length, experts determined that the pup was about 12 months old by the time it died, something that likely happened because it was unable to effectively hunt. According to marine biologists, conjoined dolphins are extremely rare, but not entirely unheard of. It was also discovered that, as well as the eyes on one head not having fully formed, one of the blowholes was covered too. It was an example of what is known as a bicephalic animal, which is one that has two heads. This happens as a result of a condition called polycephaly, and is the same way in which conjoined twins are born from a single fertilized egg in the mother. It happens across the animal kingdom and is more often seen in turtles and snakes. In wild mammals, however, it's extremely rare, and there have only been 19 recorded cases in the last 350 years. This is only the 5th documented case of conjoined dolphins, and the 3rd that is known to have lived beyond the fetal stage. Normally, they die in the womb and are discovered during dissections of pregnant females, so it's unknown how often this happens with dolphins and whales, with experts believing it occurs in far less than 1% of births. Honorable mentions. Giant squid. Not much is known about giant squids because they live in such remote regions of the ocean, but occasionally the remains of one washes up on the shore and is a chance for scientists to learn more about them. In October of 2013, a nearly perfect specimen was found on La Arena Beach in Cantabria, Spain, which at first left locals unsure what to do. The monster was 30 feet long and weighed approximately 400 pounds. It was an Architeuthis dux, which is the 2nd largest known invertebrate species on the planet, and was only first filmed in its natural environment the previous year. These squids can grow so large that their eyeballs alone can be the same size as a human head, and can be up to 43 feet long when measured from the tip-off their tentacles to their posterior fins. By studying finds like this, researchers have been able to determine that they tend to live in cooler waters because their blood isn't very good at carrying oxygen in warm temperatures, live at depths of up to 3,280 feet, and have incredibly complex brains and nervous systems throughout their bodies. After taking samples and taking steps to preserve the carcass, this particular squid was given to the Maritime Museum of Cantabria for further testing. Human feet. Something strange is going on in the Salish Sea of the Pacific Northwest, at least that's what locals believe, because over the past decade, 15 human feet have been found washed up on the shore. At first, it began as an urban myth, but as more and more feet began to be found, it became clear that this was actually happening, and it was so common that the British Columbia Coroner's Service put together a map detailing where the different finds had happened. Despite how creepy this is, authorities reject the idea that it could be the result of a serial killer, a plane crash, or the remains of tsunami victims, as some have suggested. Instead, they put it down to a range of phenomenon that acts together to make it happen. The first is that there are a lot of bodies in the water there because the metro area on the coast is home to 7 million people. Bodies of water like this around the world are common places for drownings and suicides, and the prevailing winds blow in a direction that pushes floating objects onto the shoreline. When human bodies are in the water, they naturally break apart at the joints, so hands and feet often separate when they've been in the ocean for some time. Feet are made buoyant by shoes like sneakers and prevent animals from feeding on the flesh, so can float on the water for months or years until they make landfall.
I hope you all enjoyed today's video, narrated by Zach this time. Be sure to subscribe for more and check out some of our recent uploads.